Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Homo sapiens, choppers and shoppers, racers and chasers, welcome along to the Gamesmanship podcast, the show forever at the crease of sporting insight. My name is Joe Spivey. Alongside me is George Wilson. George, are you receiving?
Afternoon, all good?
Yes. Today we have seen, quite frankly, the most recalcitrant, revolutionary change of Tour de France picture I can remember in living memory. It has been, quite frankly, phenomenal from all involved. So, George, I'm holding, what am I holding? I'm holding convention, I'm holding regularity, I'm holding regular function of all liberal democracies. And what Jumbo-Visma have done with this pocket of air is what they've done is they've just turned it around today. They've attacked with 70 or 80 kilometres to go. They have shown complete disregard for all cycling rules and all cycling etiquette. They have thrown the cat amongst the pigeons, and Jonas Vingegaard has taken the yellow jersey by approximately 120 seconds, otherwise known as 2 minutes. I would like to say that I didn't predict this, and I thought that Pogačar would reign supreme, but I did predict this, didn't I, George? I knew that Jonas would be in yellow at some point, and it turns out that he is. So I hand over to you, fella.
Yes, you did quite masterfully predict this on our previous episode.
Seminal podcast.
And yep. I was sceptical, to say the least, but I don't think anyone quite predicted the 4 or 5 man onslaught that Jumbo-Visma provided in just wearing down poor old, in my opinion. Like, he's effectively getting bullied here, Tadej Pogačar, by 5 or 6 Jumbo-Visma. Tej Minute attacks, Wout van Aert waits at the top of the hill, Wout van Aert attacks, he goes off, Roglič attacks, he goes off, and then finally with 10k to go, Vingegaard goes, all right then, I'll do my job then. Bit mean on...
Yeah, it was like, there was a point we got to, so the main outline of today was Telegraph, which was the puny little thing they did before, then the Galibier, and then the Col de Granon. So it was a proper triumvirate of beastliness in terms of terrain. And they did they did the Telegraph first, and at the top of the Telegraph, Roglič gets on his hoods, puts out some watts, and there's like a 5-man group. I think Christophe Laporte was in the early break, and he came back and helped on the descent. So there was enormous train on the descent, and all of a sudden, before we knew it, there was about 5 or 6 guys up the road. I think it was Pogačar, Thomas, Vingegaard, Roglič, and Laporte. Laporte soon dropped back, so it was soon 4, and they were attacking each other like there was about 800 meters to go. It was textbook, like TLI handicap race cycling. It was phenomenal. I think my next door neighbours probably thought I was having my gallbladder removed. There was such screaming coming from my house. It was ridiculous. I couldn't believe it was like all Christmases, all festivals, all everything. Birthdays come at once. It was remarkable, it was beyond believability. It was fictional, almost fictional. It was tremendous, and I loved every second of it. So we get to what do we do? So we get to the top of the Telegraph, big descent, like I say, attacks deluxe, and then we get to the bottom of the Galibier, and if I'm not wrong, there was quite a lot of people have caught up by that point. That the group had rejoined. Mark Soler had bridged across, so Pogačar had at least one teammate. I think even little Tom Pidcock from Ilkley. Tom Pidcock from Ilkley was on the back at that point. So it was so there was a pyrotechnical show at the start, and then all of a sudden the group was reduced but back together, going up the Galibier, which was interesting to see.
Yeah, and all of a sudden it looked unlikely for Jumbo-Visma with Pogačar with a domestique at the start of the final climb. It was all of a sudden when Quintana goes off and no one cares. UAE, it just seems like UAE have got this under control. It seems like this Jumbo-Visma attack is just you can't beat Pogačar. Pogačar is just an engine of machine.
He looked imperious, didn't he?
He was miming to the motorcycle bike on the flat, doing some food stuff, and it's just all,
Yeah.
It's just,
he looks imperious. the early attacks when Vingegaard, Roglič and stuff, they were doing like the little sort of swappy stuff, which is what you're supposed to do with 5k to go, not 50k to go.
Yeah.
When he was doing that, he was following reasonably well. And it all looked fairly orthodox. And I thought, especially when we did the what's the second climb, Joe? Come on, for fuck's sake. The Galibier. We got to the top of that. The breakaway, which was a word on the breakaway at the start of the day. It was Van Aert and Van der Poel were out on their own together. So, all the cyclocross fans who don't watch road cycling during the year got off their surfboards, got off the beach, went inside and watched for 10 or 15 minutes and actually watched road cycling for once. Van Aert and Van der Poel were up the road. It was all looking good. And then, this absolute myriad of climbers joined them. So I think you had obviously Warren Barguil, who was the closest to winning the stage from the break. You had Pierre Latour, a very fortunate surname in this race. You had who else was in there?
Was Lutsenko in there? Did he come?
Yeah, Lutsenko was in there. He did very well in the end. You had the little Jonas Vingegaard from Spain. You had Simon Geschke, the polka dot leader. So you had some force behind you. And I think they had about 5 or 6 minutes for most of the day. And then Barguil attacked mid-Galibier from Geschke and then basically got 2 minutes. And it was then clear that he was going to be, of the breakaway, he was going to be the most likely to win. But it didn't happen because we got to the bottom of the Col de Granon, which is, 11k at 9% or something like that. Some seriously dirty stuff on the organisers' part. So they came across. It got a bit heavy at the bottom. Rafa Majka even came back at one point. It slowed down so much. Majka did a big turn, got his tongue out again, rolled back the years, and then I think Majka pulled off, and the pace. Oh no, sorry, Vingegaard. Quintana attacked and bridged across to his teammate Barguil in the space of about a minute. He took 2 minutes in a minute somehow. The laws of physics and Newtonian principles were suddenly broken apart. Quintana bridges across to Barguil, and then you could sense that it looked like Pogačar was in the same state of mind, but you could sense that Vingegaard was just sat there like Miss Marple, just waiting. He was it just looked so insouciant and so casual. He was just there, chilling, no effort at all. I think even Thomas was on the back of this. There might have been another bloke. Not really. Don't really care at this point. And then Vingegaard chose the moment. He got about 10 seconds, and you thought, okay, it might stay. Romain Bardet was also there. That's a notable. He was the big surprise jack in the box of today. Romain Bardet was also there. He's actually second on GC in front of Pogačar now. Romain Bardet was there. Vingegaard gets about 10 or 15 seconds. And then the world watches, George, and what happens next? I was just, at this point, I was clinging to the ceiling, clinging to the lamps. It was ridiculous.
I mean, Vingegaard goes. That's not the bit that I found most interesting of the day. It's Vingegaard goes, Pogačar follows, and then drops Thomas and Adam Yates. And then the blow-up of Pogačar is so perfectly illustrated by the fact that Thomas and Yates then finish a minute 30 ahead of him. There's blow-ups, there's blow-ups, and then there's might as well just walk. Yeah.
There's a shot of Thomas who's in Pogačar's wheel at one point. The clear yardstick for Pogačar's cracking in the future. Anybody who's looking to interpret cycling, the key yardstick for a Pogačar crack is when he undoes his jersey. Because until that point, he was fully zipped, fully undone. There's a shot of Thomas behind him, and it literally looks like Pogačar's doing about 200 watts, and Thomas is just like, "What are you doing, mate?" and just attacks him and puts 15 yards into him immediately. So it was ridiculous. I think, like you say, Yates finished in front of him. Give me a name. Lutsenko finished in front of him. Thomas finished in front of him. I think
he wasn't even in the top 10.
No. I think he might have been 8th or something like that at about 2:45. I think he might have been in the top 10, but other than that, it was disgraceful.
Oh, sorry. He's not in the. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm just chatting bollocks there.
Yeah. Tell me something different. But also a quick word: Primoz Roglic. That man needs to be congratulated today because he completely threw away his hopes of any general classification success at the hands of Jonas Vingegaard. He worked for him. The only reason that he attacked was to help Vingegaard. There was never any hope of him, clearly, because of we saw later on what poor form he was in. Clearly, he was only attacking to help Jonas because there was no aerobic way that he would have got 2 or 3 minutes on Pogačar today because he just wasn't up there, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I think being effectively a domestique because you haven't got your legs is it's not exactly selfless, is it?
No, but Roglic
but you're portraying him up to be like, oh, he's done a great job, but he's being a real team man. He's in his team. It's his job, and he doesn't have the legs for it. His teammate does, and therefore he was helping him out. I think that's his job.
Roglic was the darling of Jumbo-Visma, has been and will continue to be, if I have anything to do with it, the darling of Jumbo-Visma for the last 10 or 15, about 5 years.
Yeah, but he didn't have the legs.
Anyway.
He knew that he couldn't do it. He would have known that.
We didn't know that at the start of the day.
No, but he would have. The team definitely would have. That was a decision made at the end of yesterday. Vingegaard stronger, Roglic your domestique.
Which is why he could quite easily have pulled out at 11 p.m. yesterday, and he didn't. He chose to help him instead.
Oh yeah, no, but we're now talking about if he's a shit bloke or if he's just an average bloke.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's not a shit bloke. He's a good bloke. That's what I'm saying. That was the whole reason for that little litany that I just went through.
Oh, okay. Well, we have skipped over two quite important things. First of all, how the fuck do we say Vingegaard's name?
It's Vingegaard. Jonas Vingegaard.
Is it Vingegaard?
Yeah, you completely disregard the consonants at the end.
Well, yeah. I think we use a bit of British superiority and call him Vingegaard anyway.
Vingegaard. Well, there's a bloke. I don't know. You watch it on ITV, don't you, George? Because you're a shopper.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Eurosport.
Vingegaard.
Yeah. Well, GCM Plus. Other channels are available. They have a bloke called Sean Kelly on there. His middle name proverbially is Sean the King Kelly, and he was effectively the Wout van Aert of his era. So he won green at the Tour a few times. He won the fucking Vuelta a España, for Christ's sake. He actually won a Grand Tour. He won Paris-Roubaix. He was like the hard man of the peloton. And they have him on for commentary purely because he was a good rider. But you would think a good prerequisite for being a commentator would be being able to speak English at an audible level or an understandable or legible level. But he can't even do that. So he pronounces it, I think it's Vingegaard, as in so he really does butcher the double A and goes Vingegaard. A lot of people say Vingegaard, and then Rob Hatch, who can speak 4 or 5 languages, says Vingegaard. So I bow to Rob Hatch's linguistic superiority in this case. So Vingegaard is how it is. It's the same with at the start when Tadej Pogačar was getting really good. A lot of people said Pogačar because there's a weird Slovenian umlaut and stuff. There's been a Pogačar, there's been a Pogačar, all sorts of odd stuff. But it's Tadej Pogačar. In the same way, you could say, I mean, they're all foreign for God's sake, aren't they? So you could say all the names differently if you wanted to. But it's Vingegaard for Jonas.
Yeah, Vingegaard, box ticked from us, I think. Agreement, very impressive. Feel sorry for Pogačar. Getting bullied by 5 or 6 of the top riders, not having a team. Just sad.
And this says goodbye to the people that says you don't need a team in the Tour de France, because a lot of people have been saying it doesn't matter that Pogačar's got the inferior team, he's got the legs to carry it through. Well, clearly we saw him double up today. So what are you slurping there, George? Is that an alcoholic beverage by any chance?
I'm having a Van der Streek.
Sorry?
Playground, a Van der Streek, like Donny van der Beek, but Donny van der Streek. He's a footballer, by the way. You won't know.
Yeah. No, I was there. Don't worry, mate. I knew
that. A Van der Streek Playground non-alcoholic IPA.
Fair enough.
Other non-alcoholic beverages.
Yes, other beverages are of course available. Yeah. What was it you said?
I'm having a non-alcoholic beverage because I'm thinking about potentially getting on the Wahoo and having a go at the Telegraph in a minute.
Oh, really? Yes. Other training devices are also available.
But if Wahoo would like to sponsor us, that would be acceptable.
Yes, of course. Yes, that would would not be turned away.
We would very happily say that Wahoo is the only turbo trainer out there.
Yeah, the dizzying heights of 215 views or whatever the hell. Not like I'm tracking it. So you said, apart from the pronunciation of the Tour de France leader's surname, there was another point of order, George. What were you getting at there?
Oh, well, we have 2 points of order to come. Yep. First of all, and most importantly, the Brits are back in continental Europe. They they can't get away from us. 4th and 6th in the stage 11, 4th and 6th in the GC. Mm-hmm. I'm dreaming it tonight. Thomas and Pogačar. Well, Pogačar blows up tomorrow at Alpe d'Huez.
Do you think?
Gone.
I was going to ask you that.
This is my dream for tonight. He loses 6-7 minutes. Thomas can keep with Vingegaard.
Mm.
We roll around to TT, and Thomas puts 1.5 minutes into Vingegaard. And the Brits win it again. The Brits are back.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't.
And then he goes from being Welsh to being British again.
Well, if Vingegaard sees fit, he could well put. I think, like Pogačar last year, he could well put 5 minutes into everybody. And he may well, because there's Alpe d'Huez to come. There's the Hautacam stage to come, which Lance Armstrong won on in 2001 or something. That's a beast. There are a lot of stages where Vingegaard could really stamp his authority on the race. So let's hope he doesn't, because the final TT is whatever it is, 50k, proper 1960s Eddie Merckx, like tramadol corticosteroid classic, like 50k, get on your bike and ride as hard as you can. So if Pogačar still has some semblance of quality about him by the 27th of July or whatever it is, 20th of July, he could well take some time back, because Vingegaard has worked a lot on his time trial, but he's by no means an expert, whereas Pogačar is amongst the best in the world. So, Tadej, it's not over for Tadej either. I mean, we're celebrating my clairvoyance and my fertiloquence and my just overall personal brilliance by predicting this, but it ain't over yet, folks. So yeah.
Well, I think we finish, coming to the end of this shorter episode, I think we'll finish with a predicted winner for tomorrow. But before we do that, a quick word on the elder statesman of Nairo Quintana, who went for up that 9-10% for 9-10k without ever getting out the saddle. Love that. Just sit there and just
fucking grind, mate.
fucking.
You might have even been
put it in a low cog and just spin.
I bet it was in the 53. I bet it was in the 53 for that. Nairo man.
Yeah. Just let the hemoglobin do it. That Colombian hemoglobin, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
legs deluxe.
Yeah, and then a bonsoir to Romain Bardet for all of his French fans. They all got excited.
Proper blockhouse condition as well. If he hadn't crashed out the Giro, he'd have been a real factor in May.
You got the French fans excited.
Yeah, and is it Bastille tomorrow?
Oh, I don't care.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's Bastille tomorrow. So watch out for some French bloke. Like I say, it was altitude today. I don't really know how high Alpe d'Huez is, but I know it's tall.
I heard that somewhere as well.
Yeah, what's the stage profile like tomorrow? I think there's something before it. There's something mild before it, and then the Alpe d'Huez. I don't think it's definitely not it's not billed as being as momentous as today was. So we could, I don't know. Again, I could easily see fucking Wout van Aert going in the break just because he can, and everybody likes to see, how good does his, just on a word. We're both fairly comfortable with our sexualities on here, aren't we, George? We can open up. How marvelous does that man's rear look in a green skin suit? It's just gorgeous, isn't it? I mean, it's just fab.
I mean, I haven't spent too much time looking, but
no. Well, you've got a job, mate.
When that man was on live on ITV when Vingegaard was getting his interview done, and he comes in and says, "Fucking A right, boys."
Is that what he said?
Live on ITV. That's a guy for me.
Pitcock said the other.
That's a guy for me.
Yeah, when Wout van Aert attacked in the yellow jersey on a day that was definitely unwinnable from the breakaway, Pidcock got interviewed and he said something like, "Yeah, what did he say? He's playing without balls, mate. I don't know what the hell he's doing." It's like, Tom, can you modulate your language, please? Like, we love the banter, but like you're on like continental television. Just chill. But yeah, a word on Pidcock as well. That guy's flying. Going to be, if Pogačar wasn't in the race, it'd be the white jersey, I think, which is pretty good. But predictions for tomorrow. The bloke that I've been backing for quite a few days now, via Moz, has been ejected from the race with COVID. So I think a decent break, but the break will be caught. And the last time they went up the Alpe d'Huez when Thomas won it, I think in 2018, Thomas won the stage in yellow, legendary moment. Bardet attacked and they reeled him in with not long to go. So I think it's going to be a pretty reduced group, not as reduced as today, but there's going to be about 10 or 11 guys there, and Bardet will win from an attack.
How do you pronounce the second name of the FDJ? David, he was in the top 10 today. What's his name?
Oh, it's David Gaudu.
Gaudu.
Yeah. Waiting for Godot and all this. Yeah.
Looked good today. Went early. And I think I think he'll try sit like Thomas did on the back wheel of Pogačar and Vingegaard.
Mm-hmm. He's got a reputation for being very on and off though, so he could have had a decent day today, and then he could well pull out. Another
wine and cheese.
Yeah, another one last point of order. Danny Martinez got dropped with Luke Rowe today, which means that I won't disclose the fee, but it's between 49 and 51 British sterling that I put on him earlier is now firmly in the sink, boys.
For people who don't know who Luke Rowe is, he's a big cunt.
He's
not a man made for the mountains, and Danny Martinez is.
He's a large man that can be found of a Saturday night near a burger van, I would imagine. So
yes,
yeah, he's not a climber. And my so-called winner of the Tour de France got dropped with him today. So yeah, I'm good. I picked Vingegaard, but I'm also shit as well. So this is the flotsam and jetsam of modern day life, George. Well, thank you very much for joining me, Mr. Wilson. This has been a pleasure as always.
No worries, and I'm sure we will meet up at some time on the weekend to talk about the coming stages and perhaps a touch of open golf.
Well, yeah, you will almost definitely have to be the expert on that, because of all the sports, golf is one that I am waiting to be introduced to. But yeah, I think possibly a bit of an F1 wrap up. We're halfway through the season. We could touch feely on that stuff.
Yeah, the first 11 races of F1. We got the rugby. We got the golf.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking busy.
Mm-hmm. Cool. That will be divine. So thank you for joining me, George. From me and George and all at the Gamesmanship podcast,